I am not a particularly patient gamer. Staring at a screen watching orders play out that I gave minutes ago is not my idea of fun. Crusade in Europe was a real test of my patience, and it's the reason it's taken so long to make this video. Of all the games in the VCS store, Crusade in Europe is the game least made for me. We're used to quick-hit gaming, jumping into the action and getting going. Crusade in Europe hails from a different mindset entirely. This is a game where you'll want a decent knowledge of World War II history before playing, and if you want to win, you'll spend the time it takes to read the entirety of the 53-page manual, including the dense information about each battle as it happened in real life. This is a game by and for fans of war history, and despite its mid-1980s graphics and sound, the complexity behind the scenes is impressive. Crusade in Europe is easily one of the more significant games released by Microprose, even if it doesn't get many headlines in 2022. Crusade in Europe was released in 1985 and is the first in the Command series of tactics-focused war games created by Sid Meier and Ed Beaver. Weather matters, as does the time of day, the difficulty of the terrain, the health of the units being deployed, how much battle they've seen, how many roads and supply lines your forces have control over, and on top of it all, you'll need knowledge of real-life troop deployment strategy. While there's incredible brain power happening in the code, the actual game itself plays out very slowly. When I first started playing, I couldn't actually tell if I was pressing the right buttons, and it turns out I wasn't. While learning the game, expect to see the words "command not understood" quite often. There are 5 main campaigns in Crusade for Europe, each with their own variants, and you'll play through D-Day, the Battle of the Bulge, and other famous fronts. Each game takes hours, perhaps even days, and thankfully you can save and load campaigns to continue when you're ready. Crusade in Europe does support the modern controller, although I found the joystick movement to be too fast, making it hard to navigate. Using a keyboard solves these problems and is recommended as the way to play. You'll set the joystick for control prior to starting the campaign, and if you use the joystick, you'll move the cursor as expected, then double press the A button to call up your commands. Even then though, you'll need a keyboard for other parts of the game. As with all of the other DOSbox release games in the VCS, Atari chose not to include a manual, even though these era of games basically require them, which makes finding a manual online essential. Thankfully, I'll have a link to it in the video description. However, here's the short version. In order to get past the copyright protection, you need to enter at least one letter. You don't need to enter the actual word in the manual like in 1985. Anything works. Once in a campaign, the most important keys are M to move a unit, A to order units to attack, D to defend, and R to put a unit in reserve, where they recover and move more quickly. The H key is critical as it's how you complete the above attack, move, or defend orders. H stands for here, meaning move here or attack here. The spacebar gets you information about the unit under your cursor, C displays info and victory point values for cities, and W puts the cursor on the unit where the most recent message originated. You can pause the game by pressing F. Q lets you toggle which side you control, S saves your game, and B enters a flashback mode where you can rewind time and make different choices. By default, the units display as symbols, which I found hard to understand. Pressing U changes them into icons, which made the units look more like the things they represent. Younger gamers may not know the Microprose name, even though it was one of the biggest game makers in the 1980s into the early 90s. Because while competitors Activision, EA, and others have kept things going, Microprose found itself slowly dismantled due to debt and acquisition. Crusade in Europe is priced at $7, which might be a turnoff if you aren't sure you'll like it. This is probably a game best left to people who do remember it from back in the day, or for people looking to deep dive into realistic military strategy on their VCS. Even if the game didn't do much for me, it's important to recognize how significant the Command series was to PC gaming. Thanks for watching. With Crusade in Europe's video done, I'm now caught up once again on the entirety of the VCS store library. Pretty soon I'll be getting Atari 50th along with other games, so subscribe to the channel to get these videos in your feed. Liking helps spread the word about the channel. I expect to also make videos in the coming weeks about cloud gaming services on the VCS, the new PC on a USB stick that just debuted this week, and more. Have fun!